All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to Foundations of Business Management 1104 Summer Session 2022. We're in week 3, finishing up week 3. This is scheduled for Friday, June the 10th. So wrapping up week 3, halfway point for everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and jump into Chapter 10. Chapter 10 covers operations management. And one of my favorite chapters, although I get accused of saying that about all the chapters, but I certainly, one of my favorite chapters is because this is where I grew up in business, was in operations management, both on my military side and then my civilian side, working in purchasing and sourcing, logistics, operations, supply chain, management itself, a lot of fun. Again, grew up. Really enjoyed it because that's where product development kind of comes together. It's a match of marketing and sales and trying to understand the gaps in the marketplace. So taking this entrepreneurial mindset and obviously applying it into an intrapreneurship moment here from a product development standpoint. And you can see here different gates, different milestones that go through product development. So, the textbook talked about the jet ski and the formation, but you could apply that to any type of product development and just see the evolution that goes through developing a product that meets the market's needs. Now, as we've learned in entrepreneurship, that's actually solving problems, okay? And so it's understanding what the customer's problems are, and then finding ways of gathering that data, again, from a sales and marketing perspective, then applying it into the product development, research and development phase, and then actually deploying that into production, into manufacturing. And how do you do that? So this is an example from my last organization where we went through a strategic planning, which we talked about in Chapter 8. And where we wanted to grow. I mean, how do you go from a $40 million company to a $75 million company? And how do you do that in 5 or 6 years? You got to look at new markets. And that's what we call discovery. And that discovery piece is made up of a team, a cross-functional team. Imagine that. Very similar to your academic journey and your teams that you have. But this was on an industry level. And it was called a FIT team, function, innovation, and technology, coming together. And it was, again, looking at the resources that we had within the organization and really starting to also understand the voice of the customer. And that voice of the customer is looking at their pain points, their strategy. Where do they want to go? Are they a cost-saving organization or are they an innovative state? Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? And do that through surveys, do it through market intelligence, do it through events, like we called it knowledge share, where we would go out to the customers and hold learning events where we could understand who they are, what they're about, where do they want to go. Went to Whirlpool a number of times, room full of engineers, and just sort of understanding more than a delivery of dialogue, but really kind of more of an engagement to understand where they wanted to go and what they wanted to do. Another one's industry association. So I strongly encourage organizations to get involved with their associations. And there's different ones for different categories. When I was in the pet industry, obviously it was the American Pet Manufacturers Association. And there was a global Pet Manufacturers Association, where you're sitting together with other stewards in the market and in your industry in ways of changing the industry and making things better. At Marball, it was the American Composites Manufacturers Association. It was the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers. I was actually on the board of directors for the Society of Plastics Engineers. And so you're sitting there with competitors, you're sitting there with other best business practice, world-class organizations. And, again, trying to change the industry for the good, going through a pestle analysis. So for example, so what, who cares, what's this mean? Well, if you look at, for example, in the composites industry, we were trying to really become more sustainable, finding, that right material, that right technology, the right process, that we could kind of make our products more sustainable, more recyclable in that. And so we really worked hard to get there from that standpoint. Another one's market research, and we're going to talk about market research in chapter 14 in the marketing chapter. But for now, just understand that you don't know what you don't know. As an organization, you just don't know what you don't know until you start to do the research, start asking questions. And it doesn't have to be a burdensome. It doesn't have to always be done by the company itself. There are plenty of resources out there. You can see there on the left-hand side. Some of these resources are state, regional, federal. Some of them are actually universities to use. And so we utilize this. Some of it was free. Central Michigan University, there were students that wanted to be a part of what we were doing at our Ohio plant for Whirlpool. The state of Virginia, we had a plant here in the New River Valley, and the state of Virginia wanted to look at how could Marlboro increase exports, kind of thing. So 2-year program I participated in, and it was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Another is university outreach. So starting to find those partnerships with the next generation. So whether it was with internships, externships, research and development within their research faculty, whatever that looked like, that was a great place to be. And we actually led our industry. We led all of our competitors in our university outreach program. And then last, but certainly not least, and you can see down here, the kind of the foundation of all of this is our colleague knowledge. So we talked about it, when you look at land, labor, capital, I mean, all of these, are important aspects, including colleague knowledge. So asking people, how are things going? What could we do? What could we do differently? They're the ones that touch, feel, smell, taste the product every day. They listen to the customer every day. And so why not ask them? And so as managers, as leaders, that's what we should be doing. And as organizations, it's important to do that. Again, from the textbook standpoint, you can see the role of an operations manager. So operations management as it pertains to manufacturing. You can also look at it from a service standpoint. There's input. So on a manufacturing side, it's materials and labor. That then has a transformation process, whether it's through manufacturing or subassembly, some type of value added that then gives a product, something tangible to hold on to. If we look at it from a service standpoint, the equation's a little bit different. It's money, information, data analysis that's coming in. The transformation process there is a service, consulting. You could look at, take it from a HTM, hospitality, tourism, and management, making that a customer experience and being able to understand what's needed by the customer at what time and how to do it. Then the output to that then is a service. But at the end of the day, it's a transformation. Now, it's interesting because many times, it's in the Midwest, when you talk about manufacturing, students understand it, they get it. Many of them are going to go into manufacturing in some type of role, product management, marketing, maybe even operations management, sales, whatever that is. Here on the East Coast, and specifically here, in the Pamplin College of Business, when you say the word manufacturing, I don't think people really understand, and they sort of, step back. Now, if I go down to Goodwin Hall, to the College of Engineering, and I talk about manufacturing, there's, some sense of understanding and even willingness to jump right in. So I bring this up because I think we get lost sometimes that we don't see manufacturing as a positive place, as a place where we would want to end up. And you can see here, there is a positive outlook for manufacturing. Obviously, we had a dip during the COVID times. all the uncertainty and the ambiguity, especially around manufacturing, was pretty hard. It has rebounded very, very well and continues to do well. Again, this is where I've lived for 30 years, is in manufacturing. Absolutely loved it. I would strongly encourage any of you to look at that. So operations management has, a few different processes. Look at the words here: planning, control. So we're bringing that concept of management, planning, organizing, leading, and controlling into the discussion. And so, for example, the production planning process is: how will goods be produced? Where should the production take place? How will the manufacturing facilities be laid out? And again, this doesn't lay on just one person's shoulders. This is typically a team aspect. There's a lot of collaboration that goes into this to make sure that everything is being met. And you'll start to see this when you go through your CAPSUM simulation. You'll start to understand how this equation really comes to play. Now, the production control process, again, that word control, meaning we have goals and objectives. We have a sense of where we want to go, what we want to do, but we also know that there's reality, right? So there's a plan, but then there's reality. And we know that there could be a deviation between the two. And so we have to continually monitor these activities. We have to understand and get feedback when things aren't always perfect. We have to make adjustments. That's what leaders do. We don't necessarily blame, as I said in Chapter 8, but we have to make adjustments when necessary. This is also where you oversee the purchasing of raw materials and inventories as well. Now, the quality control process, very similar to production, but on the quality side. And this is making sure that the quality standards are maintained and that products are being produced according to specifications. So, if you look at Apple, for example, in the Foxconn, I know we bring that up, but I think you can visually see that is, there are drawings and specifications, expectations by Apple that their iPods, their iPads, that their laptops, they all meet the same standard, and that's consistent, and that's quality control. Let's get into some various production methods. The first one is make to order, MTO. So make to order is, low volume, high quality, kind of specific though to a specific output. Business cards are a great example. Maybe it's a piece of furniture. And so you may go to all the different Virginia Furniture Market, Ashley, Grand Interiors, and try to find something. But at the end of the day, it's not the exact table I want. It's not the exact desk I want. And so you do a make to order. And so sometimes it's a little bit longer production time. But at the end of the day, the goal is to meet the customer specifications. Mass production, I think most of you understand because we're all consumers of mass production. Laptops, apparel, automobiles, these are all areas where you'll see high volume. You'll see a lot of similarities in products. If you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, the appliances, GE, Whirlpool, Electrolux, they're looking at previous sales history, they're looking at trends, they're looking at sales forecasts, and they're going to build production, they're going to build products based on the data. Again, this is where data comes into play, and having data help them make decisions. And these are expensive decisions. You got inventory, you got cash flow, you got to understand cost and labor, making decisions on this. And so, because of that, there's typically a lot of investment in tooling. There's a lot of investment in equipment. And so that the more automation that you can put into a factory, the less cost, the higher profit, and or trying to meet a price point as well. The other part about this is keeping inventory for later sales. So again, think about going to Lowe's and Home Depot. You want to be able to see a refrigerator and buy that refrigerator. Now, right now, during this post-COVID time and supply chain interruptions and some trade difficulties, the automobile market, for example, you go to an automobile lot and there's not much inventory on the lot, and for a number of different reasons. And so, we're going to talk about it, more in the pricing side, but, supply and demand we've talked about. And so the prices of automobiles right now are ridiculously expensive because there's not much supply there from that. But generally speaking, that is, a mass production, having inventory on the ground and going from it. Now, mass customization is sort of the hybrid between the two. And so utilizing the advantages of mass production, but being able to then be agile and meet specific customer requirements. You can see Oakley. So Oakley makes sunglasses day in, day out, athletics, snow, different environments, whether you're going snowboarding, snow skiing, swimming, whatever that is, they have a specific sunglass for that. However, right, maybe it's a different color, to make, so let's say it's the Hokie softball team and they want to have, specific colored glasses for the women to play. And so they could, mass customization, utilizing the same products, but getting, specific colors or things like that. Now with mass customization, it does have a very strong customer intimacy, because the last thing you want to do is get this wrong. Where else are you going to put, maroon and orange? There's not many other places that are going to use maroon and orange. The M&Ms, for example, think about how many M&Ms are produced every day, right? That for people to eat in the consumer side. But let's say we're going to do a trade show and we want to put the Virginia Tech logo on it, or you want to put your company logo on there. Well, now that's mass customization. So definitely understand the differences in the two, or excuse me, understand the differences in the three, knowing that two of them kind of come together to build one. Now, site selection, this is where I'd want you to think about. If you are a business owner or a new company, where would you want to go and why? Why would you want to be there? And we talked about the role of government before and how they, one of their thoughts is keeping taxes low, encouraging economic development, have a culture, where community and businesses want to come together and flourish. Those are all kinds of things. So take a couple of minutes, again, as we've done before, pause the video, and I want you to write down what you think, are some attributes as to why there is site selection, okay? So again, pause the video, come back on the other side, a couple of minutes, and then we'll go from there. All right, welcome back. I'm glad that you've done this. Let's see what you came up with, right? Hopefully you came up with this based on the readings from the textbook, but there should be some just, some intuitiveness as to why businesses and, want to look at specific areas. Certainly they want to look for locations where their employees, the families will enjoy living. How about low costs for land, low expenses for labor and construction and utilities? What about the favorable business climate? And, another important aspect is to find a location that's close, close to suppliers or customers or both, and finding that in that area. I'm going to play a video for you now. This is a video from the New River Valley Economic Development Alliance. They're known as the Onward NRV. And this is right here in the New River Valley, where you live as a Virginia Tech student for the next 3 to 5 to 6 years, depending on your academic journey. And so, it may not be your hometown, right? This is home though for you for the next few months. And so you can see though, they put this video together to show the different attributes of this valley. What are the values and benefits, the features and benefits of coming to Southwest Virginia, and why should that happen? So let's watch the video and we'll talk about it on the other side. So you can see there, obviously put together for economic development reasons. But you know, what's interesting is we are the home to a lot of technology that's going on. We have a number of multinational companies right here in the New River Valley that have, you know, come here 30 some years ago up to just 30 days ago. And it's it's truly amazing to see everything that's going on. You know, site selection, Amazon. So just a few years ago, I want to say about 3 years ago, Amazon's looking for their second headquarters, HQ2. Where are they going to put it? And they had a number of different cities, you know, here on the right-hand side, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Miami. I remember teaching this class and we all sort of, it was right in the fall and we were kind of taking bets, if you will. Where would they go? And it was very, very interesting when it came out that they had chosen Northern Virginia, right? They chose Washington, D.C. as their home. And why did they choose that? Virginia Tech was one of the biggest reasons why they did it. Virginia Tech building an innovation campus, which is still under construction right now, as part of it has opened. But the connectivity for Amazon to this university was a critical decision in their, of where they were going to put it. Obviously close to airports and, families and being able to get in and out with transportation like Amtrak and the Metro. All of that was very, very important for Amazon. So you can see how, decisions come into play with this. Capacity planning, let's talk about this. You're going to actually practice this in your simulation, in your CAPSIM simulation. You'll start to understand where marketing and sales comes up with the sales forecast and being able to understand what types of methods and how is the plant laid out, what's the capacity for the operations itself, and being able to balance all of that along with labor. You only have so much labor, people. Do you have automation? And so this is where capacity planning comes into play. Here's a PERT chart. A PERT chart starts to outline the steps, and you can kind of see the critical path as it plays out. Remember that the critical path is the sequence of activities that entail the greatest amount of time. This gets into project management, and both BIT and the Department of Management have courses for project management. Strongly encourage you. If you're a management student, you have to take project management. BIT, you have to take project management. But for all other majors, I would strongly encourage you to use one of your electives for it. You don't necessarily have to be, quote unquote, a project manager to do project management. I have seen accountants and financial managers be assigned project management duties, roles and responsibilities, and different projects to manage. And so it's an important aspect to be a part of. Operations and supply chain also looks at purchasing and supplier selection. Now, purchasing is, just getting the raw materials. So acquiring the materials and services that are going to be used in production. And that could be raw materials with that. Some key questions that kind of come into play when dealing with the supplier selection process. So again, this is where I live for 18 years of my career. Is the supplier reliable? Do they have a favorable reputation? When you visit them, does it look like, do they do what they say? Is there a reasonable price? I mean, it's not always price driven. I learned that early in my career. It's not always about the lowest price. It's more about the total cost of doing business together. It's very, very important. We don't talk about it enough, but within this purchasing and supplier selection, payment terms are an important attribute to look at in the supplier selection. Are they a net 15, meaning you got to pay them within 15 days? Or, do they give you the ability to pay within 30 to 45 days or even longer? That's an important aspect. Do they give you a discount for paying early? These are all, important variables that go into the decision process. Inventory control, just know that JIT is a type of production process. It's a manufacturing process. and that's just having materials arrive as they're needed. And this, a lot of times, because of capacity, forecast, space limitations, helps with finance. So for example, early in my career, we were a supplier to Volvo heavy trucks. What we made, in week one, typically we would pick, quote unquote, pick in week two to kit to send over to the truck. So it might have only been in our inventory 4 to 7 days. And then we would actually kit the interior for the heavy truck. So the side panels, the head, the roof panels, the curtains for the cab, all of these different components, we would build a kit, and it would be by color. You might have gray and burgundy, black, all of these different colors. We would send that over at 11 o'clock at night. They would then start putting it in the truck at 5 a.m. the next morning. So it was only in their inventory 6 hours, plus or minus, in that aspect. So very, very critical from again, space. Think about an engine. Think about the tires and the space that all that takes up. And especially if they're building, when I first started there, we were building about 50 trucks a day. It spiked to 100 trucks a day. It's a lot, but in the same footprint of a manufacturing building, right? So important piece. Material requirements planning. This is 2 different things here. It is definitely a software tool to help determine the material needs. So it's looking at the data and determining and anticipating what's needed. I would also say it's a process as well, because we're using the sales forecast, data coming in, managing that data, analyzing so that we know what's needed, by component, by supplier, and then we can start to analyze that data to make sure we're balancing our financial and space limitations. Talked a little bit about this already within project management. Project managers and operations managers will use different graphical tools. These are visual tools. So a Gantt chart really talks about the status of the project. A PERT chart gives us kind of a diagram and a sequence of the specific activities. Think about, a PERT chart for you. If you're going to go to Business Horizons, what are all the steps in order for you to get an internship, in order for you to get a career? What does that look like? You can start to see here, again, all the different activities from a PERT chart standpoint, understanding what's needed, how long will it take? Is it by hours, by weeks, by months? Who's needed too, right? So you got to understand the resources that are needed as well. TQM, Total Quality Management. Many of you will take a quality class your senior year. TQM focuses on 3 specific parts. Obviously, customer satisfaction, the customer experiences. We always want to know how we can improve the customer's experience. What can we do to make their lives better? Because if we're continuously improving, then we will get better as an organization. We'll get better as leaders when we put the customer first. Employee involvement. I talked about this early on in the FIT program and the slide I shared with you, but is, certainly training them, onboarding them, rewarding them, asking them to participate. But then also looking at it if there is a quality problem, then addressing it through training, performance improvement, performance management. That's always there. And we should, as leaders, as business leaders, we should always be looking at a commitment to continuous improvement. The design, the production, the delivery, always looking at changes. Not a lot of times we get egotistical. We do things right. We never make mistakes. I think when we go down that egotistical, self-serving path, we find ourselves in a dangerous situation. So we should always, and I say that from a business aspect, I also say it from a personal aspect. We know that we should grow. We know that we should always be learning. That's what continuous improvement is all about. And so make that commitment. Make it as a human being, as a person, but make it as a business leader to always focus on ways to get better at what we do and how we do it. All right, that's going to finish up chapter 10. I hope everyone is enjoying the course so far. Again, we've got the pop quizzes. Be sure that you're prepared for that. We've got your exam 2 coming up during week 4. Make sure that you're prepared for that. I'm always available. Feel free to reach out, schedule office hours with me. If you're in Blacksburg, I would love to visit with you. I'm here to help you at any time. So with that, take care of yourself, and we will see you soon.